Hi everybody. I am bathtub vlogging again tonight. I'm going to try to get some color on the subject by turning on a light or leaning back or something. But tonight's, don't want to go too far back. Tonight's adult beverage is Stella Artois. Yeah, I've decided I really like this, sitting in the bathtub drinking alcohol and talking to you. It's my three favorite things to do is to sit in the bathtub, drink alcohol, and talk to you. So, without further ado, we'll get on to tonight's subject, which is branding. It's one reason I'm showing you this Stella Artois bottle. Stella Artois is doing a wonderful job of branding right now. Wonderful. Okay, let's see if I can get some light on my face. Don't lie back too far. Go sliding down the drain. Okay. Branding. I was born in 1959, shortly after the beginning of the first golden age of branding. Everyone was back from the war. They were back from Korea. Cold War had started, but happy days were here again, basically. And all of the manufacturing had fired back up, and all kinds of new products were coming online, particularly as a result of war technology. So, it was rocking and rolling in the United States back then. Also, that naturally coincided with the heyday of advertising. The whole Mad Men thing, that whole Madison Avenue deal was real. It really happened, and happened very much the way you see on Mad Men. So, branding is important because it helps to form our wants and desires. Well, it doesn't help. I mean, it does most of the formation of our wants and desires. And I may have already talked about this. I'm going to touch on it really briefly. And that is the first thing that I ever wanted, which was Lucky Charms, because my dad would never let us have anything cool. We couldn't have, we didn't have a television for years. We couldn't have anything that was popular. So, I've covered that a little bit. And that included breakfast cereal. And Lucky Charms seemed like the neatest thing in the world to me. I may still get a tattoo of the Lucky Charms on my toes. If I could either make for myself or find someone who could create the proper kind of artwork, because the marshmallows have to look puffy. You can't just draw the Lucky Charms. They have to be puffy and three-dimensional. So anyway, that's I'm covering old ground there. I had an experience that was formative when I was a little kid. I was probably about 8, maybe close to 9. I was probably 8. And my parents were both teachers. But this one summer, my dad was busy off doing workshops. My mom was taking continuing ed. So we had one of the neighbor girls come in and take care of us. Well, this neighbor girl was like something you'd have seen off of a Gidget episode. She was blonde and beautiful, and she had darling clothes, and her parents had given her, she was probably 17, they'd given her a Mustang, a pastel pink drop top Mustang. Maybe, might have been new, maybe a 66 or so. And that was my first girl crush, was on this girl. I wanted to grow up and be like her so badly. And I made a promise to myself that the first car I ever bought for me was going to be that Mustang in that color with the white interior and the drop top, just like she had it. And I was going to put flower power stickers. Most of you are probably too young to know what a flower power sticker is, but they were these kind of stylized, rounded out flowers in, hot colors, pink and orange and purple and green and yellow and, real acid rock looking colors. And people would put them on their skateboards, on their cars, on their peachy folders, everywhere, on their lockers. They were a big deal for a while. Anyway, she had some Flower Power stickers on her car, and it was heaven. So anyway, one afternoon, she's talking to us about wanting to go get a Slurpee. She said, I wonder if your parents would mind if we went to 7-Eleven and got a Slurpee. Do you guys want a Slurpee? She was talking to me and my sister. And I said, well, I don't know. We've never had Slurpees. And she looked at us and she said, you've never had a Slurpee? Well, what do your parents get you when you go to 7-Eleven? And I said, well, we've never been to 7-Eleven. This little girl was so cute. I'll never forget this. She stands up, puts her hands on her hips, and she says, well, God, I'm taking you to 7-Eleven. So she piled my sister and I in the back seat of her Mustang. There was no seatbelts. I mean, we were like standing up, sort of sitting on the back as she drove us to the local 7-Eleven, which was about 1.5 miles away. And the wind's in our hair, and it's a beautiful summer day, and she's playing, Kino FM on the radio. Some whatever was popular that year was blasting. And we pull up to the 7-Eleven. Well, I'd always seen the 7-Eleven because we would pass it when my dad was heading out late at night to pick up his wine, because he was an Italian, Filipino, Portuguese wino, and he would always take us kids, drunk, late at night. No, we weren't drunk. He was drunk. To the out-of-the-way little, liquor stores. And we'd pass the 7-Eleven and pull into the Dominic's Liquor or whatever it was. So we'd always pass this place, and I would see the 7-Eleven commercials on television when I was hanging out at a friend's house, and I always thought, 7-Eleven, it sounds like heaven. It sounds like Disneyland. It's like the park. It's the most wonderful place. It's got all this wonderful stuff. So we pull into the parking lot, and I remember feeling so excited and grown up. I'm in the back of this drop-top car with my little sister and my really pretty babysitter, and we're going in for Slurpees. So that's what we did. And I remember the first Slurpee I ever got was it was a cola flavor. Can't remember if it was Pepsi or Coke. I think it was Coke flavor. And my sister got one that was pink. I don't know what the flavor was. And while we're in there standing at the checkout counter, the girl asks us, you guys want some Doritos? Well, Doritos, they hadn't been out for very long, just a couple, 3 years. And I looked at her and I said, we've never had Doritos either, which was the truth. So she snatched up 3 bags of Doritos, and we'd go sit in our car, and she didn't leave. We stayed parked in that parking lot, and we were sipping our Slurpees and eating our Doritos. And I literally will never forget the first time the taste of a taco-flavored Dorito hit my tongue. It was like crack. It was like the most addictive, heroin-laced food I could ever imagine. And from then on, I was addicted to Doritos. And I'd always have to figure out some way to get them because my dad would never buy them, right? So I just recall the feeling of belonging and being cool and finally being part of it when I was, ingesting these really bad for you products that I had been sold on television and never got to try. And that was wonderful, and to this day, I absolutely adore Doritos. Slurpees I've left in the past because they give me a headache, but I still love that, especially the sound of that bag popping. Pop! And it whooshes all that orange stuff out the top, and then you just chomp them down. It's wonderful. So anyhow, that is the power of branding. And that was a lesson that I kept close to my heart pretty much all my life. And then another thing I've shared a little bit is later, when I started this little company making jewelry, and I came up with a name, at my son's urging, although I would have done it anyway, but I recall he was one of the first people who said, hey, you need to do this. I went ahead and trademarked it, and then several years later I sold it for, 10 times the amount of money I ever made selling jewelry. So that was another, just hammered home the importance of branding. So, anyhow, that is tonight's story, and I think I'm going to finish my Stella Artois and go take a flying leap into my bed, where I'm going to dive under the covers with my cats and my husband and go to sleep. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Bye.